get you going, just as other people rock in. My mic stand and my camera stand a little bit wobbly tonight, but there we go. Hey, it's live. This is what it's about. So we are live. I know you're busy people, but you're here, right now, and we're going to do this webinar. We're going to talk about the 0 to 1 and how to get your first customer in business. And what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to share with you the 0 to 1 method. Answer your questions if you have any questions during the course, because this is live. Otherwise, you might as well be watching a YouTube video. So you're here with me live, so you can ask questions along the way. You can click buttons, you can download stuff, all that kind of thing. And if you stay to the end of this webinar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a button to download the presentation from tonight. Hey, so what are we going to talk about tonight? Hey, by the way, this webinar nearly didn't happen. You know, I've just come back from Bali. And I came back from Bali, and literally a couple of days after the, landing back in Japan, I had a big bike accident, and I was being in bed for like 3 or 4 days on painkillers. So just about here. I'm here in person, not necessarily all here because I've been taking painkillers and all kinds of things, right? But I'm here, so we're going to do this, right? So it nearly didn't happen tonight, but we're here. We're going to do this, and that's kind of what being an entrepreneur is like, right? You know, if you're in a startup, if you start a business, let me tell you, every day is a bike crash, right? Every day you get some kind of shit thrown at you. And, what do you have to do? You have to deal with this stuff, right? So you have to stay focused. So the goal today is to talk about how to stay focused, right? How to stay focused when you're starting a business, because, every day is a bike crash. How do you deal with this stuff? All kinds of things coming at you. What do you focus on? Where do you need to prioritize your activities and so on? So that's what we're going to talk about today. That is the number one goal. So today, I'm going to walk you through this, okay? So we're going to identify what the key problems are with being an entrepreneur, early stage entrepreneur. What are the key problems? Because, I'm an advisor, I'm a mentor, and I'm an investor when it comes to startup businesses. I see a lot of early stage entrepreneurs. I see a lot of recurring problems. I want to show you tonight what those problems are, how you can identify them, how you can deal with them, and then give you a solution, which is the 0 to 1 method, which is taking you from 0 to 1. And 1 is getting your first customer, okay? And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about the course that I'm developing, which is helping entrepreneurs just like you get into the game, and then a download. So stick around to the end, you get a free download. How about that? So I know you're busy, but you're going to get a free download tonight. So how about that? That's a good deal, eh? So you're an entrepreneur, you're busy, huh? Here's the challenge for entrepreneurs is that so many things to focus on: website, apps, logos, business, offices, names, domain names, companies, company registration, all this kind of stuff that keeps you so busy at the beginning of starting a business, right? And what I want to do today is show you, out of all this stuff, 90% of the stuff that most entrepreneurs focus on when starting a business is absolutely a waste of time and money. And the thing is, when you waste time and money, you increase the risk factor of starting a business. Some people are scared about starting a business. They think of business as a high-risk activity. People email me or they talk to me or some of the entrepreneurs that I mentor and say, hey, look, I'm scared of failure. First thing I say is, well, welcome to the club. Every single entrepreneur is scared of failure. But the key here is not being scared of failure, but how to mitigate failure, how to make failure less of an impact on your life so that when you do fail, because if you are an entrepreneur, you will fail, guaranteed. When you fail, how can you make sure that that failure is not going to blow the whole show out of the water? It's not going to sink you financially. It's not going to kill your marriage, all these kind of things, right? So the more time and the more money you spend on your startup, the higher the failure. So the key here in this game, 0 to 1, is to get launched, get started with a minimum amount of time and money. And that's what I'm going to show you tonight, okay? That is the 0 to 1 method. I'm going to show you how you can launch a business and get your first customer, get this, in days. If you're spending weeks, months planning, developing ideas, researching, developing a product, you are wasting your time. Those days are absolutely over. What you need to be doing is you need to have a product out in days. You need to get a paying customer in days. And that's real scary, right? It's kind of like how do I put this? Startup life is like dating. Okay. Let me explain. I'm no expert on dating. I'm an expert on startups. But let me put this into the analogy of dating, because everybody understands dating, right? Startup life is like dating in that, you have to get a customer, and you have to get the customer to pay, to open their wallet and pay. That's like walking up to a guy or a girl and asking them for a date. There's no if or but. There's no maybe. It's a yes or no decision. Either they pay or they don't. So if you're messing around doing everything but asking the customer to pay, you're in the friend zone of startup world, right? It's like, okay, you may be friends with this guy or girl, but you're never ever going to date this person, right? So startup life is like dating. So you've got to ask the question. You've got to ask the question. And in startup terms, that means asking for money. So if you're uncomfortable with that, then that's a problem. So what I'm going to show you today is how you can get comfortable with it, how you can do that the easy way. How you can get your customers the easy way without making it a big do or die situation, and why you need to do it fast, right? If you're messing around, spending weeks or months, you're in the friend zone. Waste of time, waste of money, increasing the risk for you and your startup. So the objective today, let's talk about this. Going from zero, where we're starting off. This is where you are right now. Starting any business, you're at zero, right? We want to go from 0 to 1. That seems so simple. But the reason why that's so important is this. The distance between 0 and 1 and the distance between 1 and 1,000 are completely different. The distance between 0 and 1 is bigger than the distance between 1 and $1,000. Let me explain. We live in a world where customers are exposed to so many different marketing messages. They say the average customer today sees 170,000 marketing messages by her 17th birthday. You are just one of those marketing messages. I am just one of those marketing messages, right? We're all part of the noise. So even to get to $1 is real hard work. But that always should be your first base, okay? You should always look at getting that first sale. And that's what we're going to look at tonight, how you can go from 0 to 1. Because if you can get $1 off a customer, you can get 1,000. It's so much easier to get $1,000 off somebody who's paid $1 than it is to get $1 off somebody who's paid nothing. All right? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do that by looking at the 0 to 1 method. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And really what 0 to 1 is about is helping you focus as an entrepreneur, because you've got so many things on your plate right now. That's the challenge. You've got so many things going on as a CEO or the founder of a business, or as somebody thinking of starting a business. You've got all these things here, right, that you're thinking about. I need to do all these things before I start my business. I need to raise money. I need to develop a product. I need to build a team. I need to register a company. This takes time and money. And the interesting thing is that none of this is useful to the customer, right? So what we want to do today is look at all of these things and really push these aside and focus on what really matters. So the 0 to 1 method is all about focus. So what I want to do in the next 25, 30 minutes is give you a method to focus as a startup entrepreneur. And what I want to do is share with you a couple of hacks to help you get into the game fast, to speed up your product development cycle, to speed up finding customers so you can get into the game with less money, less time, and ultimately less risk. That's what it's about tonight. Okay. So here we are. Most people starting a business really just have an idea, but the goal of all of this is to turn that idea into a paying customer. Okay, that's simple. That's 0 to 1. If you have an idea, just an idea, you have nothing. You don't have a business yet. That's the raw fact, is you don't have a business until you have a paying customer. Until that point, you're nothing. You don't exist in the eyes of the customer, right? So you don't have a business yet. So I've talked about this in another webinar and another video. So let me explain this a little bit here so we understand where we are with the whole idea of shipping. Because if you're starting a business, the most important thing for you to focus on is shipping. And shipping means getting your product into the hands of the customer, okay? Into the hands of a paying customer. And you can divide all your activities in terms of pre and post shipping. Everything that happens before you ship and everything that happens after you ship. And your goal, and this is where it gets uncomfortable for some entrepreneurs, but this is what I want to tell you tonight. If you want to take away one thing tonight, let it be this, is that what I want you to do is completely reduce the time that you spend doing all this stuff. Minimize it and maximize the time you doing this stuff, okay? If you just do one thing today out of this webinar, make it be this. Minimize pre-shipping, maximize post-shipping. So all that stuff like business planning, logos, great ideas, idea of development, building the product, spend as little time as possible on that as you can, because you don't exist in the eyes of the customer. And when you get it into the hands of the customer, everything changes. Forget your business plan. Don't write a business plan unless you're raising money or opening a bank account. It's a complete waste of time. This is where it gets really uncomfortable for some entrepreneurs, because some people say, oh, I have to do that. I have to plan this stuff. You don't. And that's like me telling somebody, look, if you want to go on a date with that guy or that girl, you just got to go up and ask them. And you're saying, no, I can't do that. I've got to go and check my hair first. You don't. You just got to go up and ask them. And that's where it gets real uncomfortable for some entrepreneurs. But unless you do it, it ain't going to happen, right? So I'm kind of the guy who's sort of pushing you in that direction. And that may be uncomfortable, but that's ultimately what you've got to do, right? So spend as little time in pre-shipping and as maximum amount of time in post-shipping. So today we're going to look at 3 areas. Idea validation, which is taking your idea and stress testing it. So you may have a bunch of ideas about your business. So you may have a big idea, a few variants of that idea, some other ideas, a random idea, a wild card, that kind of thing. That's noise. What you want to do is get that list down to 1 idea, maybe 2 ideas, and maybe niche that idea down a little bit. So I'm going to show you how you can do that tonight. And then get your MVP out. And if you haven't come across this term before in my other webinars, MVP is minimum viable product. And we'll talk a little bit about it tonight. MVP means what is the least featured version of your product that you can give to the customer that they will pay you money for, okay? How can you get into the game quick and with the minimum amount of time and risk on your behalf, okay? Marketing, we're not going to look at marketing tonight because that is a whole new area altogether, and that happens after you get your first customer. That's where you start developing your market and getting new customers, all right? So the 2 areas we're going to look at today are idea validation and MVP. So in the limited time that we have tonight, I want to show you how you can do these. I'm not going to go through every single method of idea validation. I go into much more in depth on that in the course, and the same with the MVP. I'm going to give you a couple of hacks tonight that you can use, so you can take these hacks, these techniques, and you can use them on your own business and have some kind of value that you could employ right here, right now. So let's do that. So idea validation. Now, in complete world of idea validation, there are many questions and many tools that you need to use to stress test your idea. So to take your idea shortlist and really crunch it down until you get 1 or 2 really strong ideas. But tonight we don't have time to do all of that. So I'm just going to show you a couple of those. And the first one is this, is scratching your own itch, right? So if you have an idea or a list of ideas, the first thing you should do is think about, does this scratch my own itch? Excuse me, got an itch going on here. But what I mean by that is, does it solve a problem that you have yourself in your daily life? Now, if you're trying to solve a problem for somebody that you don't know, or it's a problem that you don't feel any kind of emotional connection with, then forget it, because it ain't going to work. It has to be something that you care about. This has to be something that you will work on even if you didn't get paid for it, okay? Because the level of competition today is so high that you have to have just more than a good product and more than a good idea. You've got to be completely passionate about this stuff, right? So does it scratch your own itch? Don't go out and try and change the world with your product or your service or your idea. Just think about how can you solve a problem that somebody like you has on a daily basis. That's a great place to start. Facebook didn't start out trying to be the next Facebook. Facebook didn't start out trying to change the world. Facebook started out just trying to solve a problem that Mark Zuckerberg and his buddies had at college, which was how do I communicate with other college freshmen and how do I talk to girls, right? So that was what Facebook was about, scratching its own itch. It didn't go out and say, how do we get 1 billion users for this social network? It didn't start there. So in the same way, you should think about your ideas and stress test your ideas. Go through your list. Does this scratch my own itch? If not, out. Get rid of the idea. If yes, good. Keep that idea, and we'll now stress test it again in a minute with another question, right? So I'm going to show you a tool in a minute that you can use, but before that, let me give you an example. I'm a cyclist, right? I'm a keen cyclist. This is me, cycling. And the interesting thing about cycling is that it's all full of problems. It's full of problems, like real big problems like dying if you fall off the bike. That's a problem. Or looking stupid on the bike because you've got the wrong gear. It's a really elitist thing, cycling, especially club cycling. So there's all that kind of fear going on, and it's all kind of like, I don't want to look like the newbie when I rock up to the group ride. So there's all that kind of like problem that new cyclists have, and it exists. It's real, and people pay money for this stuff, right? Or really basic stuff like, I don't know, stuff that non-cyclists don't know. Like, for example, if you're a male cyclist, how do you shave your legs? It's a problem, right? If you want to go and look at all the forums, it's there, right? But these are problems. These are the itches that cyclists have, right? And somebody has to fix this stuff. Somebody has to solve this stuff. So these are real problems. And I'm focusing on problems, not opportunities, because problems are what motivates people to buy. Importantly, pain. Consumers are more motivated by loss than they are by opportunity. So if you can look at the people that you're building your product or service to and think about the pain rather than the opportunity in the gain, you will create so much of a better product and service for them. Okay? Because that's what people want. People are fearful by nature, and they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to miss out on stuff. So people will buy stuff to stop them looking stupid, especially cyclists. Middle-aged cyclists buying Lycra. It's crazy. Okay, so I'm going to give you a tool now that you can use to actually validate this stuff. So the first thing was scratching your own itch. The second thing you're now going to do to take your short list of ideas and narrow that down is use a tool which you can actually do some research on. I'm going to show you that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Google Keyword Planner. I'm going to do a live search for you to show you how you can use this. And you can use this straight after this webinar. Real simple, and it's free. I'll show you how you can do this. Hopefully this works. I've never done this live, so let's test it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Google Keyword Planner. We're going to type in some ideas like my cycling problem thing, right? And we're going to use that to, first of all, eliminate any kind of ideas which aren't relevant, and secondly, drill down and get real niche and maybe get some new angles in your ideas, right? So I'm using cycling as an example, but you can use anything for this, right? You could be doing cosmetics, you could be doing, I don't know, facilities cleaning, you could be doing travel website, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can use it for anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Google. We're going to have a look at what people are searching, because this takes the bullshit out of the startup process, because you've got this great idea, but are other people actually searching for that idea as well? Because if people aren't searching for that idea, forget it. Out. That idea is out. Even if you think it's a great idea, if people aren't looking for it, forget it. You've got to go into Google Keyword Tool now and look at what people are searching. Okay, so we're going to do this now. So hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch screens now, so you remember how to do this. Okay, so switch to my desktop. Hopefully you can see this, okay? Yeah? So what you do is go into Google and type in Google Keyword Planner, all right? And click the first link on there. If this ain't coming up, let me know in the chat box, right? But hopefully you can see all this stuff, right? So you're going to go into Google Keyword Planner. What's now going to happen if you haven't set up Google Keyword Planner already, then it's going to ask you to link your account, okay? So just do that. It's free, whatever. If you don't have you haven't signed into Google, it's going to ask you to sign in. So just go through the process, right? So what I've done is I've made the font a little bit bigger so you can see it on your screen. So it'll look a little bit different on your screen when you do this. So don't worry about that. So I've expanded this out so you can see this a little bit better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a live search. Okay, so we'll go back to my example here. Nobody's put anything in the chat box. I'm assuming everything's okay. So what I'm going to do, you could do this for your idea. Just keep it real loose at this stage when you put your idea into this search phrase here. But don't make it too generic. So I'm not going to go in and just type in cycling because that's so wide. That could mean anything. That could mean anything from cycling competition to kids bikes to whatever. You want to get it a little bit more specific. So as I talked about earlier, cycling problems. What are the cycling problems that people have? Now, if I was to think about this, you know, I was to sit down and think about this, I'd list out all this kind of stuff like, oh, you know, how do I go faster? How do I lose weight and stuff like that? But that's my assumption. If you type in Google, you actually see what people are searching. And this takes the bullshit out of the whole idea validation process, right? Okay, so you type in cycling problems. And what we now do is you can go down here and you can specify what regions or languages and all that kind of stuff that you want. But right now, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to click Get Ideas. And what's going to happen is it's going to return a bunch of search results. Okay. And the first one is what you typed in. Don't worry about that. Just ignore that for now. And underneath here, we have this list which shows all the related search terms that people are putting into Google AdWords, into Google, okay, related to cycling problems. What we now do is we want to find out what are the highest volume searches. So if we were to click the average monthly searches column, it now can order it by average monthly searches in a descending order. So what's really interesting now here is the most popular search is at the top. So people are typing in cycling knee pain cycling, female cyclists. I don't know. Is that a problem? I don't know. You tell me. I don't think so, but somebody's assumed that that's a problem. I don't know. Female cyclist body, knees hurt after cycling, inside knee pain cycling, back of knee pain cycling, bike problems, women crotch. That may well be a problem, especially if you're doing long endurance races. But you know what's interesting about all of this stuff is it's all pain. So pain is the great motivator when it comes to creating a product or service. Okay, and pain points I talk about in other videos. Great motivators for marketing. Identify pain points is a great way to build a brand. These are real pain points, not emotional pain points. These are real physical pain points. You know, if you have a problem with your knees cycling, that problem is going to last days, weeks, months, years. It ain't going to go away. And you want to do something about it. So what we do by typing in this search term into Google AdWords is we get a better understanding of what the real world of searches are out there. And by typing in cycling problems, I get a better niche idea of what the market's like. So I understand that it seems that knee pain is a real big problem, because look how many search terms are coming up just with knee pains, and there's 470 keywords down here. You can go through the list, but you know, in the top 40 alone, 20 of those are related to knees. So knees and cycling is a big problem, apparently, according to Google. Google knows what the world's searching for, right? Now, what we're going to do is going to flip this a little bit, because we're going to move from the average monthly searches to the suggested bid. Now, this is key, because what I'm now going to do is I'm going to order this by the highest bid first. So what am I doing, Graham? Let me explain. So suggested bid is what Google says that you as a potential advertiser should pay for this search term. So if you were to go into Google and type in a search term And on the right hand side of the page, you'll see all those paid placements come up, right? Well, that is what the suggested bid is about. So for example, if somebody types in cycling injuries, Google suggests that you pay £28, about $40, 4,000 yen for one of those. I mean, that is really high if you think about it. That's for one placement. That's not for one sale of your product. That's for one placement, not even, a potential customer. So one click through to your website is at $40, 4,000 yen, more or less, right? So why are we interested in suggested bids and not search volume? Well, the reason is, and I talked about this in another webinar, is that your best business ideas are based on what works already. Don't go and bet on developing a new market. Look at what works already, model that, and out execute it. So in this instance, what we're looking for is suggested bids that are very high, because that then tells us that somebody knows that there is money there. So as an example, whoever is bidding knows that they can make money out of cycling injuries. So they've already tested that market for you. They've de-risked that market for you. So there are a number of advertisers bidding for cycling injuries because they know that they can sell to customers who are ready to pay for this stuff, right? And you want to get in there, okay? Because that shows me that that market is ready. If that suggested bid was zero, I'd stay away. I want to go into the markets where there are high suggested bids because it shows that people are willing to pay. So let's scroll down a little bit, back to our knee pain. This is really interesting. Outside knee pain cycling. So when you do this search, you can get some real specific search terms, right? Somebody searching for outside knee pain cycling is only looking for information or solutions about outside knee pain cycling. There's no other potential possibility of what that could be. It's not a name of a song, it's not a name of a book or anything. Somebody has a problem with their knee, importantly on the outside part of their knee. That's real specific about cycling. So look for longer key phrases. If you were to look for the difference between 2 words and 4 words, that's really important, because 4 words shows a very specific key phrase. And there's a lot of searches, 100 to 1,000. It's not a lot in the big scheme of things, 500 average a month. But that's 500 people a month typing in that very specific keyword, key phrase into Google. So when you go in, look for the longer key phrases, right? Because those will give you a much better indication of buying intent on behalf of the consumer. So if you're if you're going to go down here, you can see even longer ones. And this is a fantastic key phrase that pops up here. Knee pain after long bike ride. That's 6 words. Every time you add a word to Google key phrase searches, it sort of doubles, or it doubles the value of that search term. So if you add like 2 more, that's like quadrupled, and so on. So knee pain after a long bike ride shows that people are searching for it, even though the search volume is really low, maybe 50 a month. That's 50 a month worldwide. If somebody's typing knee pain after long bike ride, you know exactly what their problem is. So when you get that person to land on your website, the first thing you talk about is knee pain after long bike ride. You don't talk about your solution. You talk about their problem. So when you think about your idea and your product or your service, and think about traffic coming to your website, you're not selling a product. You first want to show that you understand their problem first. Do you have knee pain after long bike rides? Does the pain get worse as the bike ride gets longer? You know why you get that? Here's 3 reasons why you get that. Bike fit, shoe position, blah, 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 all that kind of thing. And then at the end of it, you can give them a solution. But the first thing is to empathize with that customer and show exactly you understand what their problem is, right? So I really like this one, knee pain after long bike ride. That's really specific. I'm going to have a look. What I want to do now is just open up another tab. And I want to show you what this actually looks like from the consumer's perspective. So if they're landing on your website. So somebody's typing in knee pain after long bike ride. No doubts about what the problem is there, right? And no doubts that problem is caused by cycling. So the first search result here, and this is really interesting, and this is what you've got to look for as well when you're doing your research and idea validation. The first result here is a website called fixkneepain.com. I've never heard of fixkneepain.com, right? It's not a popular, I mean, if you're into cycling, active.com down here is a popular website, or Bike Radar, that's a popular website. Or it's not a popular healthcare website like WebMD or Mayo Clinic or that kind of thing. This is a really low ranking website at the top for this specific search term. So if we were to go back to our keywords, whoever is running this website is getting on average 50 people a month searching for this. And if you're number one, you're going to get 95% of the traffic. So maybe they're going to get 45 search terms, 45 searches a month. They're going to click through, they're going to land on this website. And this website here is just some basic WordPress website. It's got some quite long form content in it, you know, a couple of thousand words in each article. And what the guy's doing is he's not selling a product off the bat. He wants you to sign up for his newsletter. You click here, you join the list. Okay, so he's going to capture from that search term alone, let's say 45 people click through, he's going to capture about 10 to 15 people a month onto his newsletter. You know, the great thing is that if you have knee pain, you're going to have knee pain 6 months from now. So if you can get onto the newsletter, he can then build a relationship with you and sell to you. Okay, if he tries to sell to you off the bat, you're going to run away. You don't have any relationship or any trust with that guy, even though your knee is falling apart, right? So what we've done is we've gone into Google keywords and we've used it to identify really niche keyword phrases that people may be using. That can really help you create a more robust shortlist of ideas. So going back in here, what we've done is we've used Google to analyze our ideas. So you take an idea like cycling problems and you've now got something really specific like knee pain. Okay, knee pain after long bike rides, and all those kind of search terms that's coming up. So you've got now, Google is now guiding you in terms of your idea development. It's telling you this is where you should be looking. Okay, so let's move on. That is the 0 to 1 method. That's the basis of what we. So what you can do is you can take a blank sheet of paper, and what you can do is you can divide it into problem and solution. And here on the one side, this problem, we can say, okay, so excuse my writing. So knee pain for cycling. That is the problem that people have, right? They're not looking on the internet for a solution. They're not looking for whatever your solution is. They're looking for information about this problem. So what's now going to happen is the product that you develop needs to solve that problem. First, by telling people what the problem is back to them and telling people why they have that problem, and now giving them a solution. And there are many potential solutions for knee pain. As an example, what could they be? You could offer an online course, how to, resolve knee pain. You could offer video content about how to improve your bike fit. You could offer one-to-one consultancy like time, where you could actually consult somebody and help them through their problems. You could create a physical knee brace, get that made in China, sell that on Amazon or sell it on your website, fulfilled by Amazon. Put that onto the knee, solves their problem. You could create an app to help them improve their bike fit or to walk through the problems that they have with knee. There's many, many different ways of doing this, okay? You could analog, you could sell your time, you could have digital products or services to create a solution. But all goes back to that knee pain. So the solution really has to focus on what you as an entrepreneur can do, what you're good at, okay? Now, so we're going to move to the solution stage, creating a product, because I talked about today being two parts. The first part being idea validation. We've done that. And the second part of this is about MVP, creating a minimum viable product. So in the next 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can create a minimum viable product, how you can create it fast, minimum amount of time, minimum amount of money, minimum amount of risk, okay? So how can you do that? Cyclists have knee pain as a starting point. How can you now create an MVP So you can get a product out there fast in days rather than wait weeks or months. If you're taking weeks or months to develop your product, you're taking too long. Okay. And chances are, by the time you get that product into the hands of the customer, you've made many assumptions which are wrong. Start small, get it into the customer's hand, improve. So we're going to use the MVP approach for this. Okay. And one of the ways we can do this is the 10 by 10 hack. I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it a little bit more now. So there's two hacks that I want to share with you today to create an MVP. The 10 by 10 hack, and there's one more hack coming up. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'll reveal all when we get to that point. So the 10 by 10 hack is simply this. You approach 10 people that you know and you pitch them to buy your product or use your service for $10. Real easy. If you can get somebody to buy your service or buy your product for $10, you already have your first customer. You are in business. Okay. So how do you do that? Let me answer the question why you should do that, right? Because it gets you over the psychological barrier of not having any customers. Because if you can get that product into their hands, you have customers, you have real paying customers, you can get feedback. So go to your ecosystem, go to the people that you know already, not necessarily your friends, but people in your ecosystem. I talk about ecosystem in the course, I talk about ecosystem in previous webinars, the people you know, people you have a relationship with, interacted with, people who share the same kind of passions and interests as you, people who, for example, maybe have the same worldviews as you, people you hang out with. Go to your ecosystem and pitch them. Find 10 people who can use your product, get value out of it, get value out of your service and pay you $10. If they don't want to pay $10, forget them, right? If they can't find $10, forget them. Okay. So you can go to 10 people, and in my case, I can go to 10 people and say, hey, look, I don't have a product, I don't have a website or anything, but I know you're a cyclist. And like me, I know the problems of cyclists, and I know, for example, you've had knee problems in the past, right? And the setup that you have is really important on your bike. What I want to do is, I'm creating this service. I'm launching a business. I'm creating this service, and I know you pretty well, and I know you're a great cyclist, and I think this would be real value to you. What I want you to do is pay me $10, and in return for $10, what I want you to do is take a picture of you on the bike, submit that picture to me, email it to me, and what I'll do in return for that $10 is I will give you some advice about your bike setup. I will show you how you can improve your bike setup, okay? And that can improve your performance, your speed, your efficiency, and also reduce any kind of risk of injury. So somebody gives you a photograph, Johnny here, giving me a photograph, paid me $10. And by the way, you can't bullshit this, right? You can't, if you don't know anything about bike setups, you can't go to people and say, hey, pay me $10 for a bike setup. Ain't gonna work. You've got to be the go-to guy for this stuff, right? So if you're the go-to guy for baking cakes, go to people and tell people how they can bake cakes, right? Don't go and tell them how they can fix a crankset on a bike, right? Because it's not authentic, you're a liar, right? But do what you're really good at. And people know that you're good at that. They trust you, and they'll pay you $10 for that, right? It's worth way more than $10. If you're getting a new bike, people will pay $200, $300 alone for a bike setup, right? Not for a bike, just to somebody to fit the bike for them, right? Hey, pay me $10, and you can say, hey, look, Johnny, look, this is what I've discovered, right? You need to raise your seat post 10 centimeters and increase your reach here by another 5 centimeters, and maybe you can use a different crankset down here. That kind of advice, whatever it is. I just made all that stuff up because I'm not a bike expert, right? As you can tell, you think, I'm not going to pay $10 for that. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I don't know what I'm talking about. But if you did, you could give them something like that, and somebody say, hey, wow, that was really great. That's $10. Cyclists spend, I'm not joking, cyclists spend $5,000 on a pair of wheels, right? Believe me. So they're going to spend $10 on somebody giving them advice to improve their bike, right? And their position, especially if they had pain. So what you've done is you've created something of value that you can do right here, right now. And you've done it with your ecosystem. People who trust you, you can easily approach, you can get some feedback, and you're in the game. You have customers already. Rather than the guy who spends weeks or months thinking about the perfect product, the perfect solution here. You've gone straight in, you've got customers. Now you can now develop this. You can build on that, okay? Because you can go back to that person and say, hey, look, I gave you some advice. What do you think? Let's talk about this. Give me some feedback. What worked? What didn't work? What would you like to see next? Because they've paid, they're going to give you some valuable feedback. If you just ask people who haven't paid you any money, are you interested in this service? Forget it. Unless people open their wallet, doesn't count. So the whole point of the 10 by 10 hack is to go to 10 people, pitch them, and get $10 from them. $10 is nothing. And you can say to them, look, I don't need $10 from you. $10 ain't going to change the world for me. But the reason I want you to pay $10 is because you will value the product, right? And if you don't value the product, you won't pay me $10. So I know that if you don't pay me $10, I'm not doing the right thing. But if you do pay me $10, you've made a commitment, and therefore you're going to give me some good feedback. So that is the 10 by 10 hack. That is how you can get into the game. Whatever it is, you don't have to be into bikes. If you're offering wedding planning, pick up the phone and pitch 10 people about wedding planning services, right? If you're offering some kind of cosmetic delivery service, pick up the phone and pitch 10 people and say, hey, look, for $10, I will go and find, I will pick out 10 websites for you that you can get your cosmetics for that can save you $100 in the next month. $10, right? Whatever, doesn't matter. Everything is possible with the 10 by 10 hack. You know what's interesting? All these things that we spend our time as entrepreneurs, building a website, product, office, waste of time. Waste of time at this early stage. Did I need a website to go and pitch 10 people my 10 by 10 hack? No. Did I need a product? I didn't even have a product. I just went and said to them, hey, look, I'll do this for $10. I didn't have an office, an app. I didn't have any money. Didn't even have a company name, no email address. Didn't need a logo, a team, a company, a business plan, or any domain name. Didn't need any of this stuff. So all of this stuff, forget about it. Pre-shipping, forget about it. It's a distraction. So one of the keys of this, how do you focus your business? How do you focus starting out? And I've just given you an answer here. Forget about all this stuff here. If you want to focus starting your business, forget about all of this. You think I've made my point now? Scrubbing this stuff out? Forget it. Just go in and get the money. Forget everything else. I'm getting animated about this, but it's like saying to, hey, look, stop pissing around. Go and ask that guy for a date, right? Stop pissing around. Just go and do it. So that's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to do as an entrepreneur. All right, I'll calm down. Calm down a bit. All right, so what do you do now? You've pitched 10 by 10 people. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you a couple more hacks that you can use. I think they're really useful. All right. So you pitched 10 by 10 people. Hopefully you got 10 people. If you didn't get 10 people, then you're doing something wrong. Either you're asking the wrong people. For example, they're not part of your ecosystem. Like I said, for example, if you go and pitch cyclists about baking cakes, I don't know if they're going to be interested. Or, other way around. Or maybe you have pitched it wrong. If you go to somebody and say, hey, look, I'm developing this app. I want you to test it. Then like, why do I want to test an app? But if you say to them, hey, look, I can help you improve your cycling performance and reduce any kind of injuries. Yeah, I'm in. So you've got to pitch it right. So maybe if you don't get 10 people at the beginning, those are the reasons, right? So I'm moving at pace here. So I'm going to give you a link to download all this stuff at the end, by the way. So don't worry about scribbling down notes. The next step is build your list. You've got 10 people on board. Go back to those 10 people and say, hey, look, I gave you something of value. What did you think? Give me some feedback. If you think that was of value, give me 3 names. Give me 3 names that I can approach and do the same thing to, right? And if people found it of value, they will give you names. Don't be worried about asking. See, one of the things as an entrepreneur you've got to get into the habit of doing is asking. If you can't ask, you can't be an entrepreneur, right? You just got to go back to the corporate world where you don't ask, where you're given stuff, right? Where you're told to do stuff. When you're an entrepreneur, you've got to step outside the comfort zone. You've got to ask. You've got to ask for the date, ask for the money, ask for a referral. If you're uncomfortable with this stuff, the best thing is just keep practicing it and you get better at it, right? Go back and ask for names. Add them to your list. What you're going to do, set up set up an app like MailChimp, or set up an account at MailChimp, and you can get this free at the beginning. Set up a free account, put 100 names onto that, and start building that list. My mistake, you only have 10 names plus another 30, so that's 40 names. Our goal is to get it to 100, so you put 40 names on that. We're going to get another 60 in a minute. Get those 40 names onto your email newsletter. Start building a dialogue with these people, right? Start emailing them. Tell them about that bike ride that you went on. Tell them about how you qualified for this race. Tell them about how you bought this carbon frame in China and you developed this bike for half the cost of what you would pay. You're not talking about products. All you're doing is demonstrating your authority and your credibility. You don't talk about products with customers. You sell yourself and your relationship first, and they will come and they will buy from you. What we're now going to do is expand this. So we want to get this to 100, right? How do we do that? What we're going to do is we're going to use what's called a lead magnet, this thing over here. Now, lead magnet, internet marketing term, let me explain if you're not familiar with this. Lead magnet is a freebie, a giveaway. You remember that cycling website that we looked at earlier? Remember when you clicked that offer on the right hand side, it popped up with a little dialog box and asked you to sign up for this PDF for free? That's a lead magnet. These are highly effective. These work. You know, if you want to build a list, build a lead magnet. Do it now. Get out there, start creating a PDF. Everybody can do it. You can write a page about something, okay? You know, thinking back, you can think, well, okay, I'm going to create an ebook. What could I write an ebook on? I'm not a writer. Well, you remember my example, the 10 by 10 hack? Your first ebook could be, here are 10 case studies of how I improved the performance of 10 people and reduced the injuries and so on. All you need to do is document them, put the images in there, bit of the dialogue, case study summary and so on. That's all you need to do. It's high value stuff, right? You can't get this stuff anywhere else. You don't need to write a whole thesis. Don't worry about that. You only need 1,000 words to be of value. Give away an ebook. Or, you could keep, if you do want to write, you could do something a bit more specific, like how to fix cycling pain in 24 hours. Again, pain, right? Sell the pain, because that's what people buy. If you're a wedding planner, how to avoid the 10 key mistakes people make when planning a wedding, how to not go over budget, how to not look like an ugly pig on your wedding video, whatever it is. I don't know what people worry about when they plan weddings, but they probably worry about a lot of things, right? How not to piss off all your friends and in-laws that you forget to invite for the wedding. You could write a book about that. You could write probably 10 books about that, right? So write that ebook, get it out there, just something really small, give it away for free, put it onto social media, send it out to your friends by email, send it out to your network, and just propagate it out there and get people to sign up. You can easily get to 100 people on your list, right? So the next stage is, once you've got 100 people on your list, you already have customers. You're building your list now. So we've kind of gone a little bit beyond that one stage. We're at 1.1, going from 0 to 1 to 1.1. We're going to look at concierge VP, getting a little bit technical here. We don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but I talk about it more in the course. But let me just give you a flavor of how this works. What you've done is you've established that people are interested in your service, which is basically, charging people $10 to give them, feedback on their cycle setup to reduce injuries, to improve performance, or whatever. So you've already established that people want to pay for that, and you've got 10 paying customers, and you've got some referrals, and now you've got a list of people. And now you can start going back to those people. You started building a dialogue with them, talking about what you're doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and so on. The next stage is to step that up a little bit and start developing your product. And a concierge MVP is basically that. Now you start putting your product together. You didn't have a product before. You just had a pitch and you got some money for it. What you're now going to do is create a concierge MVP, which is basically this, is that you create what looks like a product on the outside, but on the inside, it's just kind of you, little old you at the computer, typing away. So it looks like an app, but it's not an app, right? It's you actually physically doing this stuff, right? Like look inside the magic box. There's a little hamster in there spinning the wheel. That's you. Okay, that's what a concierge MVP is. So in this instance, You could set up a one page on a website, and you could say to people, hey, look, what you can do is you can submit your cycling photo to me using this button, real easy, and pay me $10 to do this. And what I'll do is I'll record a video of my thoughts and my expert advice on that, and I'll email you that video, or I'll give you a link on Dropbox where you can download that video and give you some feedback. 30 minutes video for $10. How about that? And then you go back to your list, you email the list and say, hey, look, I've just launched this service. I want you to try it. Only $10. Give it a go. Fantastic. Now, in future, you'd like to be able to do this through an app or some kind of automated service, because when you've got like 10, 100 people submitting every day, you're not going to have the time to do this stuff, right? But for now, you can create it as a concierge, because you're not doing this for profit. You're not doing this to make money. You're doing this to create customers, right? So you want to develop the market. You're going to lose money on every single one of these, because you're going to need to get paid more than $10 for 30 minutes work, plus all the rest, right? So the point here is the customers, because everybody that uses this, you put them onto the list and you develop a relationship with them, okay? That is how you can go from having no product to having a product very fast. In theory, you could do this in a matter of days, okay? So maybe you don't have a cycling thing going on, but you can have to try and approach your product or your solution with this mindset. What you're going to do is you're going to put a bomb in the middle of your plans and you blow the whole thing up, right? Pick it apart and say, right, let's go with that. This bit that's left, the smallest possible thing that we can create, and build on top of that. That's how you can get these started, right? So what I've done today in terms of the 0 to 1 mindset, just kind of rounding up, we looked at idea validation and we looked at MVP development. And we didn't do marketing, because that is a whole new lesson in its own. And that may be what I'm going to do next week. Not decided yet, but hey, it's great. I love marketing, so maybe that's what we're going to do. But what we've done is we looked at how we can take an idea and take it to product in very fast time. And we didn't spend any money tonight doing this, right? So the objective was idea to your first paying customer. That is 0 to 1. That is really what the 0 to 1 method is all about. And before we go to Q&A, because we're running out of time now, and before we go to the download, let me tell you a little bit about what I've been doing for the last 2 days when I haven't been in bed recovering from that cycling crash. As you can see, got some injuries there. On painkillers. They don't mix well with alcohol either, just a bit of advice. So what I would say is I've been developing this course because so many people come to me, so many entrepreneurs, startup founders come to me and say, hey, look, I have this problem. I have this issue. And it's the same thing again and again and again. I work with startups, I mentor startups, I invest in startups, and I see the same things again and again and again. And these webinars, I see the same questions pop up again and again. So what I've started doing is putting all this stuff together and say, hey, look, rather than having to keep repeating this stuff, let's put all this stuff together so you can use this, right? Starting developing content. So I'm developing the 0 to 1 method course, which is basically, everything we talked about tonight. If you thought what we talked about tonight was useful, there's a whole bunch more of this stuff, right? I can teach you so much more than this tonight. So what we've just learned tonight in the last 45 minutes is just a snippet of what you can learn in this course, right? And what I've done is created a whole bunch of videos, case studies, tools that you can use, templates that you can use to, help build your business, to validate your ideas, to build your MVP and so on. And I put it all together in this 0 to 1 course, which is the whole objective of that course is to take you from start to your first paying customer. That should be your complete focus as an entrepreneur. And what I've done is I put this course together, but I haven't finished it, right? Because that's what it's all about. Rather than wait until I finish this, I'm pitching this course now. I'm actually practicing what I preach. Practicing what I preach. Actually not waiting until the perfect moment to tell you about this course, because people email me and say, hey, look, I need help with this. I need, rather than wait another 2 months or another month to get everything ready, I can share that with them now, get this thing going, right? And say, hey, look, okay, it's not the perfect product right now, but there's still value in it for you. So this course is live in October, right? But I'm telling you about it now because I'm doing the MVP thing with you right now, showing you how it works. So I'm reflecting this back and saying, hey, look, this is how you can do it. Rather than wait, Go straight to the people that you have a relationship with and say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. Not perfect, not complete, but it's of value. And because it's not complete and not perfect and it's of value, I'm going to offer to you at a much lower value than you have to pay when it goes live, right? So what you can do, just let me share this with you, just show you how you can get access to this course just before we roll into the Q&A session. And the download is, let me go back to the search window, just go to Up.School, have a look at this. Up.School, there's only 3 links at the top here. The 0 to 1 Launch Your Business course is here. So basically, if you're interested in launching a business, you want to go from 0 to 1, you thought what tonight was of value to you, you think that that could be something that you could drill down a bit more and learn a bit more about. There's only over 20 hours of videos and case studies in this course, right? So what I've done is I pulled all this stuff together. I've given you an outline here of the course, some samples to show you what it looks like, what kind of things we'll be talking about in the course, and a 30-day money-back guarantee, because I believe that if you don't get value from it, then I will give you your money back, no questions asked, no problem whatsoever. And you know what? That's a whole bunch of value there, helping you start your business. I'm offering this at $147, but for you guys, you know what? I'm going to do something real crazy. Because it's not live yet and it's October the 1st, and you've got to wait till October the 1st to get it. If you go in now and you get on board with the course with me right here, right now, today, this week alone, I'm offering it for, this is crazy. And I know this is crazy because I've been talking about 10 by 10 hacks all night. So it's in my brain, I'm going to offer this for $10. Can you believe that? I'm offering it for $10. So I'm showing you how to use a 10 by 10 hack to actually sell a product here. What is going to be charged $147, I'm going to offer it for 10 right here, right now. So if you go in and order that, you get it for $10. As I said, I don't need $10, but I've shown you using a 10 by 10 hack how you can get people on board, because the difference between 0 and 1 far bigger than the difference between $1 and $1,000, right? So there you go. That's the course. It's going up on October the 1st, but if you want to get in there early, hey, all right, okay, if $10 is an issue, I ain't going to be able to twist your arm on that. 30-day money back guarantee. On top of that, here's what's really cool, right? On top of that, what I'm going to do, let's get back to this now. What I'm going to do on top of all of that, because it's not ready yet, because it's not going live yet, there's a couple of weeks before it goes live, you just have to reserve your place. On top of that, what I can do is I can offer you a 30-minute Skype consultation. So anybody that signs up for the course this week, what I would do is give you an opportunity to book a Skype consultation with me. 30 minutes, what it is, it's a fantastic way to talk about your business objectives. Now, if you haven't started business yet, if you're starting a business, or if you have started a business, what we can do for 30 minutes is just go through your plans, go through where you are. And in 30 minutes, I can't give you the world, but what I can do is point you in the right direction. And you know what? You know what's even better about this? This is where it gets crazy, right? This is where I think I'm giving away too much, right? So you better get on board before I change my mind, right? This is where it gets crazy. On top of this, you don't actually have to pay until the course launches on October the 1st. So you register, put in your card details on Gumroad on the website, and it doesn't actually bill you until October the 1st. So what you could do, in theory, if you really want to stitch me up and shaft me, you could sign up for the course, get the free 30-minute consultation, and then cancel before the course goes live. But hey, you're not like that. You're not going to do that to me, right? But I believe you won't do that to me. Maybe you will, but hey, what the hey? There you go. That's what it is. So go for it. What I'm going to do, $10 because it's so early and it's like 2 weeks before we go live. I'm going to put that price up. I'm going to double it every week before we go live. So it's $20 next week, $40 next week, and so on. So if you get in early now, because you get in early, and that's a sign of commitment. I want to reward that commitment and give you it as the least possible. I can't go lower than $10, right? Because if I lower anything less than $10, it ain't worth it. And I don't even need the money. So I'm only doing it because I want you to pay and have some kind of commitment. And when you get onto that course, I want to get some feedback from you, understand how you use the course, what works, what doesn't work, and how we can improve it for everybody else, right? So that's how you use a 10 by 10 hack. I've just shown you a 10 by 10 hack live on my own product with you. So what's going to happen is that, some of you guys are going to go across to that page and sign up, $10, and you're going to get a bargain. That's great. And at the same time, you're getting a whole bunch of value and money back guarantee. So that's cool, eh? So the link to that will come up at the end of this webinar. But for now, just before we go to the Q&A sessions, there's a chat box at the bottom there. I've been talking for an hour non-stop, guys. So, I'm not a magician. So hopefully you can ask some questions. At the bottom, you look right at the bottom down here, there's a chat box. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat box. But before we do that, let me tell you how you can get the download. So if you want to get the PDF from tonight, I'm going to throw up a screen in a minute. Not the screen, sorry. Now, let me just show you. Have a look at the bottom right of the screen. You should see a little box in there which says 0 to 1 PDF. You see that? That is the PDF of tonight's presentation. That's it. Click it and you can download it right there and right then for free. Everything you want, take it away, review it, and so on. So you can go back and have a look at the whole process of idea validation. It's not the live video. You can get a link for that tomorrow. But for now, you can kind of go back and review. It's kind of useful, especially if you haven't been taking notes. You can get that. Go back and review idea validation, the MVP stuff as well, and some of the links that I shared in like the Google AdWords tool and so on. So go ahead, click that button on the right hand side to download that free. You don't need to sign up. Just download straight away. And that is it. That is everything that I've given you my all tonight, guys. I've done an hour, which is the longest webinar ever, but this is a lot of fun talking about 0 to 1. We're talking about cycling as well, and maybe it's the painkillers from the cycling crash that kept me going tonight. So thank God to Panadol. Praise Panadol for keeping me going for at least 60 minutes. If you have any questions, you can throw them in the chat box, or what you can do is you can email me after this. I usually publish my email address, but tonight I have forgotten. So I'm going to put it in the chat box so you can actually see my email address here. It should pop up bottom left of your screen, graham@upschool.io. If you have any questions about tonight, if you just want to talk about your business, anything about the course, you want to learn more about the course, what you want to get out of it, and so on, I will endeavor to answer every single question that lands in my email box. I will certainly look at every single one and I'll give you an answer. I won't give you an answer tonight, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. And tell me a little bit about your business. Don't just ask me a question. It'd be great to find out a bit more about your business, what you're doing, and so on. Learn a bit about the challenges that you're facing and so on in business. And if you have any questions about that, just feel free to email me, and that's what I'm here for. Looking forward to seeing you at the next week's webinar. Haven't decided what the subject is yet. I think it's going to be about marketing, because that is something I can talk about for at least an hour, but I don't want to do that. I want to talk about that and get all the juice out of marketing. I spent 15 years in marketing. So condense that down. How do you market your business as a startup? For now, see you at the next webinar. Hopefully see you on the course. Start building your business, start validating your ideas, start creating your MVP, and get into the game. Minimum amount of time, minimum amount of money, and reduce the risk. Because if you can do that and learn how to use that 0 to 1 method to build your business, you can get into the game real fast. Not be a frustrated entrepreneur. Don't be one of those guys or girls who are out there spending weeks or months developing their product or just thinking about these ideas. Just get in there, start. So hopefully I've given you some juice tonight to think about, and you can give me some feedback as well. There's my email address, guys. Hey, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for participating in tonight's webinar. Really enjoyed it, and looking forward to interacting with you and seeing you at a future one. I'm going to hit the end event button. See you later, guys. Graham@upschool.io. That's where you can get hold of me. See you later. You're going to be taken to the course page. This will redirect so you can have a look at that. Everything I've talked about today. Check it out. Email me. See you later.